two of you. All right. So example 4. What does example 4 look like? First of all, we have an angle on each of them that's marked, right? And the angle is the same. We have a 25-degree angle and we have 25. So let's mark those two angles. I want you to hold on to that thought. I'm coming back to you. I know exactly what you're going to say. I'm going to come back to you, okay? So let's go ahead and mark these angles to be congruent. Okay. So it looks like it's probably side angle side, but remember we have to set up our proportions. Okay. So let's go ahead and set up our proportions. Small over small, medium over medium, because we have a congruent angle. So 2 goes with what on the other side? 6. And then 6 is going to go with 18. We can reduce, or you can use your calculator and cross multiply, see if it's the same thing. 2 over 6 reduces to 1/3. Yep, if you divide both of these by 2, right? Divide by 6, gives you 1/3. If you cross multiply, you should be getting 36 and 36, right?
No, that's not what I got. Yeah.
2 times 8 is 36. 18, I'm sorry. And 6 times 6. So it's 1/3. Yes? Okay, so our sides match up and we have an angle congruent to each other. So is this side angle side?
No. I don't think so. Yeah. Because this triangle, the angle is not in between the two sides.
Notice over here in triangle SRW, this is the angle that's between the two sides. And we don't know anything about that angle, do we? So even though it appears as though it's side angle side, is it really side angle side? No. Nothing. Not similar. So be careful of questions like this that set out to trick you. They are not everything. It looks as though everything matches up, right?
Yeah.
Patrick, yes?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, it looks like everything matches up, like it should be side angle side, right?
Right.
The problem is if you look at triangle SRW, where I've drawn with blue,
Right.
the angle has to be included. It has to be this angle that's in between the two sides. See how this one is in between the two sides? This one is not in between the two sides.
Huh?
Over in the smaller triangle, do you see how this angle is in between these two sides?
Yeah.
Okay. Over in triangle RSW, it should be this triangle over here, or this angle over here, but we don't know anything about it. The 25...
Oh, you're talking about if you put them together, the angle should match.
Yes, but the angle should be in between the two sides. So another way to look at that is this. If you know this side is 3 and this side is 6, this angle that's in between them is this top one. Right? But look over here. If I have 6 and 18, the angle that's in between them is this one. And I don't know anything about that one. So because I don't know anything about this angle.
You got the 6 and 2 on this side, the
right.
25 in the
yeah.
middle. And
Right.
Okay, I got it.
It's not in the middle, is another way to say it, okay?
Gotcha.
Okay, so you're going to tell me not similar, but you're also going to tell me why. So you would say angle not included. Something like that.
Another thing I think about her eye care thing, she works, right?
Oh, no. Well,
Let's look at angle or example 5. Okay, we have parallel lines. What angles can we look for? Because it looks like it's going to be probably angle because we don't know any sides, right? So if we don't know any sides, it can't be side, 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 and it can't be side angle side. So can we mark 2 sets of angles to be congruent? What's one set that we can mark to be congruent here? The vertical angles. Okay, let's go ahead and mark the vertical angles. We like those. And then what did you say, Samantha?
I marked WP.
WP and
Angle W and angle P, because they are alternate interior angles. Do we have to mark that third pair?
No.
You don't have to, but you can. It might make it easier when you're writing your similarity statement. So I would say triangle MWX, I want you to match it up. Triangle MWX matches up with what? MWX, don't say it, just write it. MWX matches up with what? MWX. CJ, what does MWX match up with?
MPL.
Excellent. MPL. By angle similarity. You need to tell me how they are similar. Okay, let's look at number 6. What does number 6 look like it probably is going to be? It looks like it's probably going to be angle, right? Because we only have been given angle measurements. But if it's going to be angle, I need 2 angles to match up. Do we have one pair of angles that's going to match up? What pair? 15. Okay, so let's mark our 15s to be the same. Now 92 and 63 don't match up, but I'm also missing an angle in each triangle. You guys see that? I'm missing an angle in each triangle. So how can we figure out which angle we need to find out? How can we find out that missing angle? Okay, so we could find the missing angle. Maybe we could call this one X. And this one in this triangle we could call Y. I want you to solve for X and for Y. You know that all 3 angles in a triangle add up to be 180 degrees. Please don't say your answer out loud. Just get your answer for X, Y. Okay, so what did we get for X? What did you guys get for X? 102. And what did we get for Y? 73. So we have one pair of angles that are matching up. Is that enough to say that this is angle?
No.
No.
We only have one pair that matches up, right?
Yeah.
So these are not similar. And we could say only one pair of angles are congruent. Only one pair of angles are congruent. On 7 and 8, we're going to switch gears. I said that they're not similar because only one pair of angles are congruent. Only one pair are congruent. Okay, on 7 and 8, I want you to write something off to the side. On 7 and 8, we're going to go ahead and assume, because I didn't write these directions out, assume the triangles are similar before we even begin it. Oh, you can't see it. I just wrote it on the side there. And sorry, see where that red banner is? Assume your triangles are similar. Okay, so now we're not trying to prove that they're similar. We already know that they are similar, and so now we've got to do some setting up. Okay? So the first thing that we do is we always set up our similarity statement. So step number 1 is our similarity statement. If we don't set up the similarity statement, we're going to really struggle when we try to set up our triangles. So if we look at this diagram, we have this diagram in example 3. Remember, we can mark this angle congruent to this angle congruent to this angle. Because we have parallel lines and those are corresponding angles. So our similarity statement, if I said triangle CDE matches up with what? DAB is not a triangle. Nope. CAB. Look. CDE is this triangle here. It's going to match up with CAB, right? The small one and the big one. So it matches up with CAB. Okay, so step number 2 is our proportions. And remember, you don't even need to look at your diagram, right? We just look at our similarity statement to write our proportions. We talked about the first 2 match up with the first 2. Remember we did that? Okay, so let's go ahead and set up our proportions. I'll say CD matches up with what? CA. The first 2 match up with the first 2. Then we do the second 2. So I have DE matches up with what, Crystal?
AB.
Good. AB, the second 2. And then we always do the first and the last. So CE matches up with what, Belinda? Perfect. Is everyone okay with setting up the proportions? Anybody have questions on that part? It seems like it's extra work, but it really is not. It makes life a whole lot easier for you now. So now, step number 3 is to go and fill in with what we know. Do we know how long CD is? Yikes. Okay, now let's talk about this. I've heard multiple answers. The whole thing right here is 8, right? We've used up 2 down here, so how much is left for DC? Or C, it's just 6, right? For CD. The whole thing right here is 8. We've already used up 2, so that means it's leaving me with only 6. So this is 6 is our CD. And CA is how long? From C to A. You got to be careful, Crystal. Right? The whole thing. From C to A, that whole thing is 8. What about DE? DE is 5. Do we know anything about AB?
2.
Yeah, we don't know. Has it been given to us?
Well, isn't the one in the middle?
It's parallel, but
It's
it
at the bottom.
only if the two sides are... Okay, so what we're remembering is the mid segment from last chapter, which is great. I'm glad you guys remember that. But this is only a mid segment of the base if these two are the same. And are those the same? No. Okay. So we don't really know anything about the bottom.
So it's not 10, so that's 1.
It's not 10 because I just stated it can't be half of that unless you know that these are the same. And we don't know those are the same. So we're just going to call it AB for right now. So just write AB in there. And then CE is what? 3. We don't know CB. So what we're going to do to help us, we're going to call from E to B, we're going to call that X. Which means this whole thing right here could be represented by what? 3 times X? X plus 3. Right, because you're adding the two sides. So we called EBX because we don't know it. So we're going to call that whole CB side X plus 3. And so in my diagram, or in my proportions, X plus 3 is going to go there on the bottom.
So do we just not do anything? 5 over AB?
Well, we have to do something with AB, right? Because our directions over here on the left say, hey, you need to find CB and AB. So here's what we can do. We know for sure 6/8, right? We know that one for sure. That's the fraction that we know for sure is true. So we're going to take these two together, and we're going to cross multiply these. Okay, so let's take them together. 6 over 8 equals 5 over AB. It doesn't matter that I don't know what AB is. It's just my variable, my own known. You can put a Y in there, you can put D in there, whatever you want. If I cross multiply these, I get 6 times AB equals 40. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
6 times AB equals 40. How do we get AB by itself?
Divide by 6.
Okay, so we'll divide by 6 on each side. 40 over 6, if you put that in your calculator, what happens? Like,
6.6.
okay, so instead of giving me 6.666666667, we're just going to reduce each of these by 2, and I'm going to get 20 over 3. And I'm going to leave it as a fraction, 20 over 3. All right. Now, the question is, how are we going to get x? Well, what's the fraction we're confident in? What fraction do we know for sure? No?
20 over 3.
Okay, but what happens if you get, if this is 20 over 3, but what happens if you did this one wrong? Then we maybe wouldn't know that for sure. But we do know 6 over 8, that was given to us, and 3 over x plus 3, right? We know 6 over 8 for sure. So when we go to find x, we're going to skip over that middle one, which you're allowed to do. And we're going to use 6 over 8 again, because we know that one for sure. It was given to us. Because if we did AB wrong, and we used it to find what x was, then we would get both of them wrong. Okay? Go ahead and cross multiply this. We're going to need x to be 1, not 5. So you get x to be 1? Okay, but the question didn't say what is x. The question asked us to find, let's look back. What does it say? Find AB, which we did. And then find what? CB. Let's look in our proportional statement. CB is right here. And so CB is represented by x plus 3. Right? CB is represented by x plus 3. So I can say CB equals 1 plus 3. So CB is 4. I found AB and I found CB. Now this seems like it's taking a long time, but it's because we are slowly walking through it and talking through it. Okay? Step number 1, similarity statement. Step number 2, proportions. Then finish it out. Yes, Brianna?
If we're doing like congruency, then it would just be 3 and 3.
Yes, but we're not doing congruency. We're doing similarity. Yeah. Yep. Okay, why don't you try number 8? I'm going to get you started with the similarity statement, and then I want you to do the rest of it. Okay? So I'm going to get you started on number 8. Let's go ahead and mark angles that are congruent, that we know to be congruent. This one down here, this one here. So step number 1 is the similarity statement. So if I say triangle UVT, triangle UVT, what would you say? UVT. Quentin, you want to try it? If I said triangle UVT, what would you say? Go in the same order that I did. UVT. You'd say U what? URS. URS. All right. Step number 2, remember, is to set up proportions and then fill them in. So I'm going to have you do that. If you're watching the video, go ahead and pause and then come back when you're ready. Okay, so we've set up our proportions, so we're cross multiplying now. These two together. 3 over 12 equals y over 20. If we cross multiply, I get 60 equals 12y. So y is 5. Good. Yeah, make sure that when you're doing UR, we add 3 plus 9 is 12. When you're doing SU, you add x plus 12 to get x plus 12. Then, as Patrick learned, what happens if you got y wrong and then you tried to do these two together? If you got y wrong and you tried to do those two proportions together, you would also get x wrong, right? So, because they gave you 3 over 12 from the get-go and you can't mess that up, use 3 over 12 with the x over x plus 12. Equals x over x plus 12. Cross multiply. 3x equals 12. X plus 12. What? Oh, I messed it up, didn't I? Woo! Let's try that again. 3, oops, times x plus 12 equals 12x. Does that look better?
Yeah.
Okay. So 3x plus 36 equals 12x. Subtract 3x. 9x divided by 9. X is 4. X is 4 and y is 5. Any questions on that? Excellent.